just occasionally, the combination of the aircraft, the scenery, the lighting and the weather just come together and blow me away. And this is one of those occasions. I mean, look at that. This is live weather, a video of opportunity. I haven't planned this, but I thought this is going to be special. I better record it. So this is what I got. So I'm flying the Wilga by Got Friends, aka Willy, and I'm flying to 42 Mike Golf, which is Mr Goodbar by Parallel42. And this is probably the first time I've flown this aircraft, maybe the second, certainly the first time to this scenery. But look at that rain chasing me down, and that's the direction it's coming from, so that's going to push through, and just the combination of it is fantastic. I'll put chapters below, so feel free to skip ahead if you wish, but I have cut out all the boring stuff and left just the good bits, so grab a cup of coffee and enjoy the next 9 minutes of me struggling to put this down on this sandbar. Now you can see the smaller section of sandbar nearest to me, where you should hydroplane and then stop on that bit and taxi across. There's also a campsite that I'm passing on this inspection pass, where I'm going to camp later as the rain hits. Now the issue I'm going to find is there's also about 20 or 30 knots of crosswind on this, and in an aeroplane that lands at 40 knots, maybe 35, that is one heck of a crosswind. So that's another thing to struggle with. And the end of the video, I'll land just in time for one of the storms that comes through, and I'll unpack some of the stuff that you get in this aircraft. But this isn't a review video, but you will get a good idea of how much fun this aircraft is to fly. So the manual suggests that you make an approach along the river and then land from this direction only. Do not land from any other direction. Well, we'll change that later. Taking off is a whole other matter, and I'll do a couple of different methods of that as well. But if you've had a flight in the sim that has impressed you as much as this one has, feel free to chuck that in the comments, because I'd love to check it out. Even better if you know where to download the weather presets, because I wish I could press save on this live weather. And if you can, let me know. I don't think there's a way, but I wish there was, because I won't be able to find this again until the sim decides to reproduce it. Okay, right, here we go. Stage 1 of flaps. I'm just using the white arc on the speedo as reference for my limiting speeds. And I can tell, because my nose is so far pointed to the right, but I'm tracking further to the left, that the crosswind is going to be an issue. A second stage of flaps. Now you can see down to the left side here, the smoke from the campsite is telling me I've got a tailwind and it's all across. So I'm already thinking, I don't like this. I'm a little bit fast, it's a little bit bumpy, and I'm like, nah. But what is probably my second landing in this airplane, it ain't worth trying that. So we'll swing it back around and make another approach. You can see that weather is starting to surround me a bit more, so I need a better method of approach. So I figured if I've got a 30 knot crosswind, why not land into the crosswind and make it a headwind? So if I land with 40 knots and I'm into a 30 knot headwind, that should be a ground speed of roughly 10 knots, and you can land in a small garden with that. So let's give that a go. So here we are on relatively short final, but at 20 knots of ground speed, it's going to take a little while. There are trees in the undershoot. There's also a guy with a canoe next to a helipad that I need to watch out for. And like I say, this is probably the third approach. I did a couple more that I've cut out just for brevity's sake. They were survivable, but not entirely brilliant. Nor is this one. So what I should do is flare now, and I don't, so I leave it a bit late and I bounce. But with the tyres this thing has, my second landing, and the suspension, it should be survivable and without damage, I would suspect. Not brilliant, so I'll give it another go. But the other bonus of having such a strong wind is you can reverse backwards and give it another go. And I will take off with a crosswind later, but this one I wanted to see if I can clear the trees. So I line myself up to go in between the bushes. I use one stage of flaps. Now the Freedom Fox technique, I think, had you select second stage of flaps as you lift the tail, and that kind of propels you into the air. So that's what I'm going to give a go. Here we go, second stage, and we're up 45 knots. Look at that angle of climb. That is ridiculous. It's like an express elevator. And we still haven't gone over the trees yet. What are we, 200 feet? Maybe 300? There we go, over the trees. Easy. So skipping ahead a little bit, this is my favourite part of the sortie. I call it a sortie, military man, can't help it. But look at that, surrounded by rain showers, a little hole in the cloud with the blue sky. Stunning livery, lovely little aircraft, and the lighting is perfect. So this is me taking an opportunity to fly through on a inspection pass. You can skip ahead if you like. I couldn't bring myself to edit this bit out because, I mean, look at it. How often does your sim look that good? But at least I can still see the crosswind is there, the campsite's still there, so they're waiting for me to get down. Looking at that rain shower behind me, I figure I've probably got 5 minutes before it gets to me, but you can see it's building up. It looks ominous. And it actually gets to crossing the river later. You can just see it approaching, which is awesome, and I use the windscreen wipers as well. So this next approach goes a lot better, although I do nibble the stall and I do get a wing drop. But it does go to show how much time you have when you make such a slow approach. Now, one thing I neglected to enable on this aircraft is the contact indicator lower left. It actually tells you when your wheels touch down, which is a brilliant idea. Sadly, I forgot to switch it on, but I'll tell you when I touch down. Still getting thrown around by the wind. You can see the trees in the undershoot. But I love having to fight an aircraft down to the ground. Such a great sport. Okay, watching out for this guy on the right. Watching out for the bushes. Listen for the stall. And a wing drop, but I'm still flying. Taking my time. And there we go. Yes, I'm happy with that one. I'll take that one all day. So I've probably got about 3 minutes before that rain shower gets through. Time for one more lap. So this is the takeoff with the crosswind, and as soon as that tail wheel lifts, it does that. It weathercocks into the wind. So that's why you shouldn't do it. I could probably apply better technique to it, but it's still pretty extreme. Good view down the back end. You can see all the cargo in the boot, or the trunk if you're American. And we'll unpack that later just briefly and show you what you get. But look at that stunning lighting with the dark rain in the background. Love it. So on this approach, the rain starts to catch up with me. You can see that shower approaching the river, and you can actually see it getting closer. It's amazing. I love it. I literally have a couple of minutes before the rain hits. And this is definitely the last landing. We've got to get to the campsite. Just look at that view out of the window. But if you're still here and watching, thank you very much for watching. Please consider hitting that like button. Even better, help support the channel, hit that subscribe button and join 15,000 other people that I hope are still enjoying the content that I'm producing. But look at that rain encroaching on the river. It's literally second by second getting closer. So this will be a wet approach. I'll have to put the windscreen wipers on shortly. And it's not a bad landing. It's one of the slower ones, and I'll get the view from the outside as well. But it just goes to show how slowly you can fly across the ground in this thing when you've got a 20 to 30 knot headwind. So the wipers are on. They do appear to do something. Still having to wrestle it down. And some people might find it strange that a fast jet pilot really enjoys flying little aircraft like this, but it's such a sport. It's something I'm going to have to do in real life. I have to save up my pennies. Okay, here we go. We're avoiding the hard landing. We're going to avoid the stall, hopefully, in the wing drop. There's a bush in the way, so actually I can fly to the right. I'm still flying, still flying, still flying, passing the bushes. And look at that. Love it. Probably not quite the 3-point landing, more for a drop onto the ground, but I'll take it. Now it's time to speed on to the campsite and get unpacked. Awesome. No hint of a checklist, but there's this nice little clipboard that allows you to put the various elements out. So I'll put the lantern out and the cargo, unpack some stuff. But we made it, so it's time to play the guitar. Yes, this is a bit random, and yes, it's totally not necessary, but it's a lovely touch. And now I can't play the guitar. Thanks for watching. See you next time.